Hey, good morning or afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, I don't know. And today's rant is going a little bit down the road of global warming. Now, we can say with a certain amount of truth that the climate is changing one way or another, but how much effect does man really have on it? Scientifically, using physics, CO2 in the atmosphere is known to absorb heat energy a little bit more, right? And that comes from the sun. So, if you have a trend towards, heating and everything like that, we totally agree that if it's something that we're doing to to our life sustainability, then, hey, let's take a look at it. Let's try to find some solutions. And we all agree with that. Now, where I'm going is that, and it's kind of maybe a freedom of speech thing, but, they always said, hey, we have a consensus of scientists, and science isn't, a consensus, by the way. Because all of them had the consensus that the earth was flat until someone said, no, it's round, this and that. So the consensus was wrong, right? Now, the reason I'm bringing up this topic today is because the global warming side of everything is kind of like they're rethinking that right now. How much truth is in it? Because in the scientific method, you draw a hypothesis, then you test it and you show the results, and your hypothesis better match the results or else something is wrong. Sea levels are supposed to be, New York, and I know some hysteria, this is the catch of crying wolf all the time, which Al Gore did. New York will be underwater if we don't do something now, okay? And then 10 years later, and don't go down the road because it's government testimony that this is true statement that he said, and he was asked on a congressional hearing why he said that, and one of the scientists had said that he put it in the movie The Inconvenient Truth, which let's take a look at that. Now, we have an agenda there that I think part of society, when you grow up thinking, hey, it's doomsday, it's similar to people growing up during the nuclear age. Hey, we could be bombed, the whole planet, everybody's going to be dead, right? So we all kind of experience some kind of a doomsday type scenario. But here's the point, okay? When you have all these carbon tax credits, and we've done everything to try to clean up the CO2, and yet, after the fact, they were still complaining. I go, well, with all of this money that you've spent, I want to know, where is it gone? If it's not helping anything, maybe we need a rethink on that, right? Shouldn't we be asking that question? You're telling us it's getting worse, but for 20 years, we spent all this money, we've reduced CO2 levels and stuff like this. Maybe it's not CO2, maybe. Because there's a lot of scientists that were saying, no, that's not the way it works. There's too many variables. And obviously, this is what it's kind of coming down to. You have to take into perspective the big picture, all right? You have to go back to all the data. Hey, there's carbon dating and everything like that. They can kind of figure out. But there were times where CO2 was really high and the temperatures were declining. Okay, so is that the only culprit? But I really think what we need to do is start questioning things a little bit more, because what I find on the internet and everything, hey, whether the algorithm or something like that, it's whatever you believe, hey, the algorithm's going to produce the results you're looking for. So we got to be careful, and this is why AI is just a real critical function. Hey, who's going to govern that thing? And when you have people saying, hey, we're going to be governing that, everybody's got their own agenda. So let's think this thing through. And the whole global warming thing is one of those things that we really need to take a look at. And the only reason I kind of say that is the IPCC has came out and they're saying, look, we're not seeing the warming like we thought. Hey, the oceans aren't rising. And this is the credibility formula. Hey, I'm okay with fixing whatever needs to be fixed. But when it's really more of control over you, then, you know, maybe let's stop and think all of this through before we start. You know, if you're going to tell me that, I need to see results. The data needs to reflect it. And when you have the NOAA changing records, I mean, my thing is simply, I went back into USA records back 100 years, and if you're looking in the 20s and 30s, I'm sure you've heard of the dirty 30s, okay? Most high temperatures were set in the United States during that time, and there wasn't the CO2, there wasn't all this manufacturing or everything like this. So explain to me how that was occurring, right? So when you have a lot of variables, you can't just put it on one thing and then say, hey, let's start doing these carbon credits, let's tax everybody, and then where'd that money go? Al Gore was flying around on a corporate jet, flying everything. He goes, oh, I'm carbon offsetting. But what did you do with the money? Nothing has improved, yet we spent all this money to bring the level of CO2 down. My rant today, I encourage you to start looking at the data from a different perspective and really look at the truths that we find. Science is science. It should be very defined, and your hypothesis should match the data, and that was never proven. So that's today's rant. See you next time.